What is up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Run Your Mouth podcast. Running off my laptop today. The studio is in disrepair. I went away for Skankfest, and like a chipmunk, the producer man unplugged everything, swapped out cords, and luckily I'm off the road for a little bit. So we're gonna get everything fixed up. And listen, we got a lot of news to get into, but I am back from Skankfest, so I got some things to discuss. Firstly, I love New Orleans. That town's got a vibrancy, and other than New York, which I kind of hate New York now. I honestly, every time I go into New York, I feel really depressed and I hate it. But there were times I really loved New York. Man, just being able to walk around New Orleans and just catch live tunes, it is like one big old block party. It's the most ADD-friendly thing in the world. You can grab a beer wherever. You can just walk around, catch 30 seconds of this brass band, 40 seconds of this guy playing his banjo. And anyways, I love New Orleans. I got some live music recommendations for all of you people out there. If you ever go down to New Orleans, I've been wanting to do this forever, and I really didn't think it was a good idea to spend another day out on the road after, because I stayed out. I stayed out between doing Charleston, and then I just stayed out and went to New Orleans. I was there all the way through Skankfest, but for years now, there were two things I really wanted to do in New Orleans. Friends said that they were down, and I was like, all right, we're spending another night out here. If you want to go to a really classy, I'm sharing my secrets here. So if for some reason I'm down in New Orleans and you end up down in New Orleans and you end up coming out to these places, say hi, but don't sit on my lap all night type thing. The Columns Hotel, I went there to see Stanton Moore with his little trio, and that guy's a great drummer, and he just plays with the best people. So if you're a jazz person or you want to go to a classy jazz type spot, I couldn't recommend that more. But now, if you're not that into jam bands, you're not that into kind of live music, and you really want something that's more approachable, if it's not something you've ever experienced, I went to see George Potter Jr. at the Maple Bar, or might be called the Maple Leaf Bar. It's totally outside of like the downtown district of New Orleans. I've been watching footage from this place forever. I always wanted to go to it, and my God, was that place cool and fun. So if you ever find yourself down in New Orleans, you're there on a Monday night, and you want the Rob Bernstein recommendations of great shit to do, I highly recommend those two things. Hopefully, I owe you guys an episode. I had teased that I was going to do an episode with Sam Tripoli, and he really wanted to go check out the French Quarter. And I was like, you know what? Instead of doing a podcast, let's just put on the mics. Let's do a walk and talk, and we'll do a little bit of a walking tour. We'll get into, and I had a whole list of topics I wanted to get into with him. And we started walking, and we were just having too much fun. I'm not even saying it wouldn't have made for a great episode. I just felt like that voice in the back of my head where, you know, something funny happens, or like, I got to return on the cameras. Can we redo that? Or I got to, you know, everyone quit having fun. I want to take a picture. So I was just, we were having a blast. I was just like, I don't want to shut down the living in the moment to try and record this. Not that Sam would have been upset about it. I was enjoying myself too much. So anyways, I'm doing New Year's with Sam, and hopefully I can track him down, because I did have some great topics I wanted to get into it with him, and I did tease that, so hopefully I will be able to make good on that episode before the end of the year. Actually, I'm doing New Year's with him in Jersey, so maybe I'll ask him if I can show up early, and I can make that the last Run Your Mouth of the year. That would be a good one. All right, some other things I would like to address is, firstly, I want to come out and say I ate some great food in New Orleans. It is my favorite town. There's places I like more. I love Salt Lake City. Can get out there and ski. There's areas of this country that are beautiful, but I like for the outdoor stuff. There's no city I actually enjoy. New Orleans is the only city. It's the only one. And people are obsessed with, I think they're the Beignets. Is that what they're called? And I don't get it. Listen, I like junk food. I like a good, but it's a dressed up funnel cake. If you're already going to eat something that resembles a donut, just eat a donut. Don't for the life of me don't for the life of you, for me, I don't know what expression I'm going for here, but don't tell me that that's better than a donut. Like, by the way, I haven't eaten a funnel cake maybe in ever. Maybe I've eaten a bite of someone's funnel cake. For as much bullshit as I put in my body, that seems like a little bit too much bullshit to be putting into your body. Maybe I've taken a bite of it and been like, man, this is a lot. But I'm just saying, if you're going for a fried dough product, that is a bland fried dough product that you're just tasting over oil in your mouth. It's like somebody took a napkin to somebody else's French fries, put powdered sugar on it, and you take a bite of the thing just to get a swamp of oil, hot oil in your mouth. There are delicious donuts on this planet, and as a pastry expert who literally has a secret talent. I don't know if I've discussed this before on the show, but if I walk into a place, I'm a pastry whisperer. Pastries talk to me, and I can tell you what pastries will be delicious. If you ever want to hire a consultant to go with you to a bakery and just sense the case and tell you what in that case will be the most delicious, I can do that for you. I can tell these things. You can call it that I've got the science of metrics of what a place respects about itself, what's going to be good. But I'm telling you, I'm a pastry whisperer, and I took one bite of that. I was like, yeah, it's not worth the calories. I'll pass. This thing's not good enough to have this much hot oil sitting around in my stomach and spending a whole day nervous about that I just put this in my stomach. And I'm just saying, because, it was the talk of the town. Like I said, big fan of New Orleans. I'm a big fan of New Orleans. But I'm just saying, if you're going to have one signature pastry, which is just a worse version of a donut and nearly a funnel cake, that leaves some room for improvement. I don't have too many other condemnations that are in order at this time. I do have a couple. Firstly, I would like to. I've already spent 4 days at home, and I'm already in the mood to do stand-up again. And I would like to just stay out and be doing more stand-up. But I cannot, not only can I just not handle the logistics of putting things together, the amount of wrong recommendations amount of wrong reservations that I made over the last 2 weeks was cartoonish. I'm talking flights booked on the wrong day, hotels booked on the wrong day. Those 2 concerts I wanted to go to, I made the wrong reservation 3 times for both of them. We actually showed up to the second one, and I had to convince the guy I wasn't there the week before, just let it pass. Anyways. I booked the wrong hotel for a friend. I mean, and I'm not even like, it's not a drinking or smoking thing. It's a space cadet. I can't look at Priceline.com anymore type thing. So anyways, we got one more porch left if you want to come out for it. It's not even really a porch at this point, but I've got a great bar that I will be playing Sunday afternoon, day drinker before I fly home in Colorado. Or if you prefer, you want to come out skiing with me, fans come out every year and I ski with them. You can come out for Steamboat December 20th and 21st and trying to stack up local gigs so I can already start putting together new material for next year. All right. By the way, Skankfest was incredible. I think this was the best one to date. The fact that they kind of figured out the line situation, bigger rooms, everyone could sit down, and I wasn't doing as much behind-the-scenes work this past year, so I was able to really watch things. Some of the highlights, firstly, I got to catch Attell do sets twice, and sometimes you're just walking, you're like, oh my God, Attell's up right now. I ran in, I got to catch a bunch of Stanhope sets. He was incredible. Attell was incredible. Closing out the festival, I didn't even think there was any more live comedy going on, and I caught Holtzman in the back tent, and he was being full-on Holtzman. That was a good time. And then at some point, they're going to be putting out the Knives and Spoons reading podcast. I didn't catch the whole thing of that, but, I remember 10 years ago, I was once working in an office, and I was listening to the Legion of Skanks, and I was already friends or friendly with those guys, and I was sitting in my office. It was just me and my boss, and I'm trying to work on a spreadsheet, and I'm listening to the reading of the Lewis poem, and I am just dying laughing sitting there trying to, like, when you're laughing harder because you're not trying to laugh out loud. It was that, and this was like a hour and a half version of that. So when they put that out, I recommend that. Naked Roast is always incredible. It was a blast all around, so kudos to those guys. I'm already looking forward to the next one. All right, we can take a couple of comments, and then we can get into some news stories here. Should we do some more condemnations? Nah, it's okay. Actually, I got one more condemnation. Which is I was trying to rent a bike in New Orleans to see more of the city, go for a bike ride with a pal. A nice gay old afternoon. And I was going to go with just one of the app rentals. And then they asked me for firstly, it used to be you could just put your credit card in and move on with your life. That wasn't a bad system. And then all of a sudden, you got to download an app. And that already has me irritated. Can't I just purchase the thing from you? Do we really need this extra step? Do I need to have some app on my phone that I have to delete later because I agreed to too many permissions? Not everything needs to have an app. And you're already charging me enough money for the bicycle. You don't also need to be in the business of collecting my data. I understand if you're going to give me the bicycle for free and then you're going to collect my data on the back end, if I'm not going to delete the app, then I guess that was a fair trade-off that you gave me the thing for free. But if you're going to be charging me like $40 for the day or whatever the hell it is, then I'm paying for the service and we're done. Just do the service part and I'll do the riding the bicycle thing. You take my money, I ride the bicycle. That sounds like enough of a transaction. Now, not only, so they made you download the app, and I was already annoyed to download the app, and I was like, I told my buddy we're doing the bike ride thing. I was like, I'll download the app. And then they made me take a picture of my license. And I was like, ugh, I don't really like that, but okay. And then after I took the picture of my license, they're like, now we need you to scan your face. I was like, I'm out. I had to tell the guy, I was like, hey, bud, I'm sorry. They're asking too much. I'm not scanning my face to rent a bicycle. And then I ended up renting some bicycle from some Italian dude. And I understand why people like Italy, because no waiver. He was like, bring it back when you want to bring it back. He's just smoking cigarettes, having another coffee. Just let me know, because I don't actually show up for work. So just let me know when you're coming back so I can actually be here to take the bicycle back from you. You're supposed to have it back at 5 p.m., but I don't give a shit. Whenever you want to bring the thing back. Italy's chill, man. I now understand why people like Italy. All right, let's take some comments, and then let's get into some news stories. Lenoco just saying, hi, Robbie. Jack Burden 806. All one of us are still happy you are here. Fake news. There's 118 people in this chat right now. Wade Mosher saying producer man rocks. He does not. The amount of expensive equipment here that is currently in an unusable condition just because I went away for 2 weeks. It's not a good scene. Benjamin Fisher, what up, Robbie, and the other 4 people here. Once again, fake news. There's 115 people who are watching this right now. Most of them are too shy to comment, but there's 15, just went back up. DeFabs, nobody sit on the elf's lap, Robbie. Are you calling me an elf? Junior Toxicity, hey all back at you. Jack Burden 806, pronounce beignets. Either way, they're not good. So there you go. You got my travel tips for New Orleans. Go see great live music and pass on the beignets because donuts are better than them. All right, let's get into news topics. We've got all things to discuss, and let's start with this because, guys, we've got a new villain that we have to protest. There's a new villain, and this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. The balls on this guy that the transportation department wants you to dress with respect at the airport. They're going to try and shame us for the problems at the airport. Instead of all the overpriced shenanigans, the canceled flights, the bad service, the showing up and finding out that the carry-on that you had to schlep the entire way to get to the gate that you paid for, you can't actually bring it on the plane. But if you made that, think about that one. If you make the decision of, I want to take this thing with me, or I'm sorry, if you want to pay them so that you don't have to schlep and carry the thing through the airport all day, they'll charge you more money. But if you want to go through the process and the inconvenience of making it the entire way through the airport just so that you can put your stuff up in one of the storage containers and then not have to go and recollect your bag, they will then take it from you forcibly without a charge at the last second. There is so much bullshit that every one of these companies puts us through at the airports. And apparently their service has gotten so bad that people are starting to lose their shit a little bit. And so now the solution of our government is to shame all of us like we are the problem. It's not the companies. It's not them canceling flights. It's not all their stupid fees. It's not the fact that they put you through the security screenings. It's not the flight delays. It's not the fact that no one wants to use the bathroom on the plane, but there aren't even enough bathrooms for everyone to take a shit before they get on the plane. You can go watch the archive of complaints that we've had on the Run Your Mouth podcast when it comes to flying, because I'm on 3 or 4 flights nearly every single weekend. And now the solution is, let's not fix air traffic controllers. Let's not go after the airlines for all the shenanigans that they're pulling on us. The solution is if everybody dressed nice, that would step up the decor. And what, you want everyone uncomfortable now when they're on a flight? Instead of wearing their shitty sweatpants and other pajama type clothes, are we all supposed to get dressed up on flights that are never going to happen so we can be more uncomfortable? If you think that people are going to be less testy in the airport if you got them dressed up like they were going to a wedding or going dancing, to then still be treated with the same amount of disrespect from the airports? Or what are you trying to say, that the airports will be nice to us if we all dress real fancy? Bullshit. You're gonna have women are gonna be showing up in their fancy nightgowns with their makeup bags, and then they're gonna get their makeup bags taken away from them, and they'll be like, "I got dressed up all nice for this plane ride. You can't be taking away all my fancy makeup." But apparently, that's the solution. It's shame on us for not dressing nice enough, for getting stuck in airports that don't have seats, don't have bathrooms, and crammed seats. The solution for fixing air travel in this country is that everyone flying needs to be more uncomfortable. All right, let's read some more of this bullshit. It's great. This is some world-class bullshit, everybody. The Department of Transportation wants you to start dressing up again when you fly. Citing an undeniable rise in bad behavior on airplanes, the DOT announced a new campaign meant to encourage civility in the air travel. The golden age of travel starts with you. Bullshit. I mean, what an unbelievable grift to try and convince us that the golden age of travel is just all of our bad attitudes and the fact that we don't dress nicely when we show up to the airports. Really, that's the issue. It's not the service of the airlines that's the problem. It's not the price of planes, and then you're finding out that there's a gazillion fees on top of what you thought you were paying, and then your flight's getting canceled, and your one vacation a year just got ruined. I mean, this is, even, by the way, just the line from, was it JFK? It's not what you can do for your country. It's not what your country can do for you. It's what you can do for your country. It's like, go fuck yourself. You're taxing me. This is your business. You get it right. You're forcibly taking my money away from me because you're supposedly going to offer me services. Don't tell me I got to do any more than that. I'm the customer here, bitch. But here you go. His idea for fixing the airlines and the golden age of travel is that if we all just dress nicer and were more uncomfortable and treated the airlines, I guess, as if they were some sort of incredible institution, that when we're crammed into seats, we're just so appreciative for the experience of being able to pay for this overpriced service that treats me like shit. If we can indoctrinate ourselves enough into that it's a favor that they're doing for us, then we could all experience the golden age of travel. All right, there's more here. There's more here. There's more of this lunacy, everybody. I'm just going to read the second paragraph. There's no question we've lost sight of what makes travel fun. The excitement, the relaxation, the cordial conversations. The DOT announcement said, Americans already feel divided and stressed. We can all do our part to bring back civility, manners, and common sense. When we can unite around shared values, we can feel more connected as a country. And how about the shared value of fly the fucking plane on time? I think that's actually the shared value of most people flying, is don't rip me off, and if you charge me for the ticket, don't tell me 12 hours after you continuously delayed my flight that you could have just emailed me in the morning and said, hey, you don't need to come to the airport. You could have done that. Or you could have said, hey, we're not going to be flying your plane. We apologize that we charged you for the plane. Here's the price of your hotel room because we're an unreliable business. How about that's our shared values of Americans, is quit ripping us off, and if you're going to charge me for a service, give me the service that you actually charged me for. I'm pretty sure that's why you're having incidents at the airport. All right, let's take a couple comments, and then we can move into the Epstein stuff. Philip saying no flopping thongs. Okay. Well, listen, there's some dressing decorum that I agree with, which includes leaving your shoes on and not scratching your athlete's foot. Junior toxicity. The customer's always wrong in America. Facts. Philides. Need more black church Sunday hats. Yeah, because those will fit on the plane. Government told me to wear here bow tie. All right, let's get into the latest of all the Epstein stuff. And this was from the New York Post. Jeffrey Epstein had a tiny, extremely deformed penis shaped like a lemon. And I'd like to put forward that maybe Jews are actually okay, and it's the lemon-shaped penis people that we have to go after. Can we? Maybe there's a sub, like, who knows? Maybe all the Jews in the Federal Reserve all have small little lemon-shaped penises. If you want to talk about, like, I'm against anti-Semitism, but if somebody wants to become anti-lemon penis people, I will gladly join you in saying that all tiny lemon-shaped penis people are actually bad for society. I don't have much evidence for this aside from Jeffrey Epstein, and I don't know how many lemon-shaped penis people are out there. I don't know that we can start inspecting people's penises and asking them to drop chow and then make sure that they don't have the lemon shape. And maybe we'll need a better diagram of specifically what Epstein's penis looked like. But I'm just saying, if we're looking to combat the anti-Semitism that's on the rise, perhaps we can bring forward evidence that some of the other bad Jews, like maybe Madoff had a lemon-shaped penis. I don't know. I'm just putting forward, has anyone looked into the correlation between the bad Jews and those that had lemon-shaped penises, and that perhaps we could, I did an episode of Sam's show where they were talking about the Khazarians, which were fake Jews that were pretending to be Jews so that they could run for cover on their demonic, money systems or whatever, and maybe that's the telltale signs. Maybe all the bad Jews have these lemon-shaped penises, and if we're delving into the Epstein files, I feel like that would be a topic worth investigating. Now, here's what's interesting to me about the Epstein stuff is that we've seen it before, that when it comes to these cases of creepy dudes, sometimes, like take the Cosby one. Cosby was the golden child of Hollywood. Everyone loved Cosby. And then all of a sudden, Hannibal Buress makes that comment of, Cosby's a real creep. And because he makes that comment, other people start actually writing articles about it. And then the wheel just turns where Cosby goes from being very well liked to everyone's like, oh, that dude's a total fucking creep. I even think, from what I recall, the same thing happened with Epstein, where that story was always kind of lurking of, hey, you got this Epstein creep. And then they sued to get the reports released about him. Then it's coming back out in the newspapers. The FBI goes, we're even more concerned about this than you are. And then the next thing you know, he's dead in jail. And so it seems that we've actually drummed up enough interest in this storyline that they can't get away from it. They can't shove it under the rug. And it's hit the critical mass where it is now interesting to people and unignorable and unavoidable. And I don't think that they're sweeping this thing under the rug, because sometimes the wheel just kind of turns, and things that were okay for a long time, people are like, wait a second, this thing's still going? Wait, what happened here? And then more people hear about it, more people are upset about it, it becomes more newsworthy, it becomes where the ratings are, and then it actually becomes a thing. So at a minimum, I just think that the storyline's not being swept under the rug, and I do think you'll have some collateral damage of people that had interacted with him, particularly post-2018, that are probably going to have some things to answer to. Now, do I think we're going to find out the whole story and it's going to be the end of the CIA? I wouldn't get that excited. But it does look like we got some good forward momentum here. All right, and so let's take a look at some of the most recent things. And first, let's watch this clip from Pam Bondi. And I think as we watch this, can we all, as Run Your Mouth listeners, agree that we think Pam Bondi just has to go? Can any of you still even stand the sound of her screechy voice? But here we go. Here's Pam Bondi. After fumbling we're releasing it all, there's terrible things on my desk. If you guys saw what I saw, actually, there's nothing here. And now she's back to readdressing it. Roll the clip, producer man, and then we'll comment.
$1 billion. Go ahead now, off topic.
On the Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
What are the next steps, Madam Attorney General, for the DOJ regarding what we assume President Trump will sign into law with the Epstein files? Is this going to be on the Justice Department website? What are you doing here over the next 30 days as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last.
Follow the law. We're going to follow the law. We're going to do what's in line with the law. It's starting to sound like the law is more there to protect you guys than to actually protect the victims or any of us from what you guys will do. It feels almost a little bit Fauci-like, I was just doing what that department said. Me? I never said that. He said that. You know, I was just following the law. I got the thing from the CDC. I reported it to you. It's starting to say, oh, we're just going to follow the law. We're doing everything in accordance with law. We're just doing what the law wanted to say. If the law told me to blah, blah, blah. This is still starting to sound like the members of the Donald Trump administration are not actually interested in exposing the heart of the matter, cleaning this mess up, having transparency, but instead trying to hide behind whatever they can to give us as little information as possible on the basis of law. We're following law. You told it we had to release this. We're following the law over here. Yeah, it sounds like that law is there to protect you guys and not us. Let's continue.
Evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are looking for whatever way out you have, and you're still fishing for ways not to give us the information. And I think we're going to hear more of that. And I also think we're going to have more of what I've already called the pedophile defense of, I was only engaging with him for information. Starting to see a little bit of that with Bannon, where it sounded like Bannon was just working with him on interviewing him for something that he was supposedly releasing in 2026. But then it turns out that it looks like he was looking to him for guidance on both how to rehabilitate his image and for how to bring, I think I was reading about an America First type movement to England. But it seems like he was working with him a little bit more than just trying to get information from him. But like I said, I called it here first. You're going to see a lot of people playing the pedophile defense. I was just showing up with this milk and cookies for this young lad who I had sexual conversations with on the internet to teach him that he shouldn't be having these kind of conversations with people. No, I was never working with Epstein on anything. I wasn't interested. I was just trying to get some information out of the guy. All right. And now we've got Mike Johnson. I had referenced this clip on part of the problem, and we'll jump around in this because you've got everyone on Congress. Now that Thomas Massie pushed this thing forward, they're all up there giving their heartfelt speech about how they care even more than we do. That's always what happens. When it hits a critical mass, these people, they care even more than you do. The thing that they were pushing under the rug and we're hoping that no one would ever comment on, now that it's unignorable and we all realize it's a problem, they care even more than you do. Except for one guy, and that's Mike Johnson, and so let's hear what he had to say.
Long days, the Democrats held this House and the entire country hostage. Finally, with the lights back on, this body's returning to our regular legislative session. We have a lot of work to do. My colleagues on this side of the chamber are ready and
Wait, pause it for 1 second. We got to pay some bills over here. Shout out to YoKratom.com, home of the $6 kilo. Only place in the entire world that you can get an entire kilo of kratom for just $60. And man, if those guys have been loyal sponsors of the show, I had a blast hanging out with them down at Skankfest. Even got to crash at their Airbnb for 3 days because I showed up to New Orleans early, so I was staying out on the road. So if you guys are into the kratom products, make sure to get it from YoKratom.com. Supporters of the show, just $60 a kilo, and sometimes they run even better specials for Black Friday. All right, let's continue the clip.
eager to get back to our urgent legislative work that we promised the American people we would do. We've got to continue lowering the cost of health care. We've got to bring down prices for American families, and we've got to finish the regular appropriations process.
Hey guys, this is just one big old distraction. Cleaning up the deep state, making sure that we don't have pedophiles, making sure that the CIA or other governments aren't blackmailing our politicians against your interest. This is not an important storyline right now. He just sounds to me like he, for some reason, Israel, I don't know why, is doing everything he can to try and make this thing go away. And so here he is firstly going, I'm signing on this because obviously this is important, but obviously everyone, we have more important things that we should be talking about, and the Democrats should have addressed this when they were in office. Let's continue.
To name a few of those priorities. And I wish I could say that our first order of business would be to get to those urgent priorities, but of course we're here spending time on the floor about something else. This is something we could have resolved last week when we brought a unanimous consent to pass this discharge with the full support of the body. But our friends over here who are arguing today stalled that. They objected to it, and they wanted to have this exercise instead. And that's why we say that this is a show vote. That's what this is. They're making a show of it. And it really is a shame. We have some heroic women in the chamber today. I met
a show vote that's actually pushing the issue forward, captured everyone's interest, and already seems to be taking some people down and highlighting the issue. I mean, I guess if there was ever something worth having a show vote on, it was probably this, because you guys were not taking care of it despite all of your claims to that you were. Let's continue.
With many of them a while back. They're in the gallery here. They have come forward. They have shown their faces. They've used their names to share the unspeakable tragedies that many of them were subjected to, some of them when they were very young. And it is a heroic service to the country. They are seeking justice, and the justice has been delayed for too long. The Department of Justice, many years ago, should have brought these charges. It took too long to do it. And now we're in this process of making sure all the American people get the information, but we have to do it in the right way, After 4 years of Democrat control under President...
All right, so what exactly is the right way? Because, you know, sometimes you just have to move the ball forward, and when they start saying, well, there's the right way to do this, that means the way that still censors things. That means the way that the CIA can still cover its ass. The FBI can still cover its ass. Hey, guys, we got to make sure that we do this in a responsible way that doesn't actually make us, any of us in the government who are involved in this, look bad. This is still kind of a censorship effort by him. I'm all on board. It's just there was a better way to do this. There was a more responsible way to do this, and that was the way of not actually doing it. Let's continue, because we're going to get to what I think is his worst claim.
Biden, they were not truthful with us about a lot of things. The Democrats insisted the border was secure. We knew it wasn't. They insisted that inflation was transitory. We knew it wouldn't be. They misled the American people about the obvious mental and physical decline of the previous commander-in-chief. And now those same Democrats are demanding transparency. Transparency is their new word. Out of nowhere, they've taken a curious concern in the Epstein investigation, all in the name of that, in the name of transparency. But the question has been asked here many times during the debate on the floor, and everybody questioning why it is that Democrats have done this right now have to look at the obvious facts. The Democrats had all the Epstein files in their possession for 4 long years under the Biden presidency. The Biden Department of Justice had these files, and no one on this side who is breathless today about the urgency of this release ever said a word about it. And it was the Democrats who could have urged President Biden's Department of Justice to go beyond prosecuting just Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but they didn't do it. And so it's a fair question to ask today, why now? Why the sudden urgent interest in Jeffrey Epstein? Look, we know why. It's because the Democrats were never interested in transparency or executing justice or protecting the victims of this unspeakable tragedy before. The simple truth is obvious for everybody to see. This is a political exercise for Democrats, and it pains me to say it.
So I just want to pause and go, at this point, who cares? So fine, yes. Shame on the Democrats that 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and 2 years ago, they weren't interested and they didn't take care of this. But if this was something that you actually cared about, you would just go, great, they're on board now. Like, for example, I think we got to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Most of our government doesn't agree. If tomorrow all the Democrats were talking about closing the Federal Reserve, I wouldn't go, well, shame on them that they're first bringing this up now. I would go, fucking awesome. These people finally care about this. Something changed in the political landscape, that all the Democrats realize that the problem is inflation. The problem is the relationship between the Federal Reserve and the banks and creating credit asset bubbles. I mean, yeah, shame on them that they didn't come to that conclusion sooner. But then you also go, wow, these people are all on board with an important topic to me. Now we can create a winning coalition and we can solve this thing. But when you start going, what would you prefer? Are we supposed to wait 8 years until Democrats are back in office when all these absolute idiots that they currently have on their roster die off, retire, quit, or get shamed enough in the media that some actually electable Democrats come along and then the Republicans are the minority party? And you guys are able to, I guess, make the Democrats look bad because they're running the government that has a deep state asset that was involved with trafficking kids? Is that instead of solving this thing now, what we need to do is realize that the Democrats didn't care about this previously and that the political environment has changed where now they actually do care about it. And so what we need to do is wait till they're back in power so that we can then start caring about it and make them look bad instead. Which, by the way, you guys didn't need to look bad on this except for the fact that you did try and brush it under the rug, and then you left them the opportunity to go, why the hell are these people covering this thing up?
I wish that was not the truth, but it is, and it's undeniable. This is as deceitful and dishonest as their pointless stunt was to shut the government down.
I can pause it there. I think my Federal Reserve example is as good as we're going to get, that if you actually cared about this and someone else changed their mind and now they want to address the issue, you would go, wow, it's great that these people changed their mind. Let's work together on it. But as you can see, it seems like Mike Johnson's still doing everything he can to try and prevent full transparency on the issue. And so this was Thomas Massey put this one out. Let's see if I can read it. Dangers of the discharge position. First, you have victim privacy, does not adequately protect victims, which could be true if there's still victims out there that would rather be redacted from this, in which case, you know, they should be kept private. But I think there's been a lot of victims who have come forward and said, I want my justice. It would be nice if we had a public record of all of the victims coming forward and doing that so they can't hide behind that one anymore. Now you've got innocent persons risk disclosure of non-credible allegations, creating new victims, which I think what they mean is basically, well, you're going to have a couple categories of people. You're going to have some people that were pretty clearly doing bad things, and there's going to be enough coming out about what they did, and they're going to have to answer for that, and the public's not going to like them. And then you're going to have some people that were in the looser affiliation category that I'm sure will also be seen with worse light in the eyes of the public. But I don't know. At some point, if you were loosely engaging with a pedophile, I think people have a right to know, and I don't know how else you're going to be able to clean up this mess by making none of the information public. CSAM fails to adequately protect against the release of child sexual abuse material. I don't know why they can't just you'd have to explain to me why the releases are going to be making those materials public. Future investigations provides no protections for whistleblowers or undercover law enforcement, etc. I don't know. All of this sounds like the ongoing investigation type stuff of, oh yeah, we're actually really interested in, no, this one's the big one. And sometimes, you know what? This one's big enough that if some undercover law enforcements get burned so we can actually clean up the deep state and whatever this mess was, I hate to break it to you, that's worth it. Declassification requires release of information that could reveal confidential methods and sources. And once again, I don't know. Let's poll the American people. I think all of us are like, this one's worth it. This one's worth it. All right, now let's watch this video, which was making the rounds, and I think is even worse. Let's give this a watch.
All right. Number 5, national security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect Their critical sources and methods. It is
If your sources and methods included trafficking kids to blackmail politicians, then we should probably just know about that and stop doing it. And so if you are able to say, hey, if an agency did something terrible, and let's just not go with that it was pedophilia, but let's just say an agency broke the law, did something bad, and they classify their own record of what they did that was bad, and they want to continue to be able to do that bad thing, and so therefore making the information available to us that what they did was bad is going to undermine their ability to continue to do that horrible thing. Well then what is the mechanism to ever clean up illegal activity by these agencies? And then of course you get Pam Bondi going, well, it's illegal for us to put out classified information. Well, who gets to determine what gets classified? And then what is to prevent anybody from doing anything and then classifying that they did it and going, well, it would be it would bring harm to this organization if that was released, which is why we classified it. So in other words, classifying is just the ability to cover your own ass, and that anything that you don't want people to know about that you did, you classify it. It's like if you did insider trading and you had the ability to classify that record and go, well, I can't reveal the sources for how I made that money. Well, then how are we supposed to check how you did it? Maybe not the best example, but I think my point still stands. All right, a couple more things on this. Now you have what mechanisms might they use to cover this thing up. And so firstly, they might open up new investigations. They can go, well, that's an ongoing investigation. You guys are going to get in the way of this. I guess they can potentially start classifying more of the materials, redacting it, or making things disappear. We still have the big questions, which I've said, if you really wanted to figure this one out, let's bring every single person that once had that safe that left his apartment in front of Congress and let us know what happened with this lost safe. And then let's bring the pilots, everyone that was on the island. Let's have everyone give testimony about what was going on. There were a lot of people working for this thing. The JP Morgan thing, that one's come to light. As I told you guys, Wall Street on Parade has done great articles on that. But JP Morgan was looking the other way on processing a lot of money. And I'm sure that wasn't the only revenue stream or banking apparatus that Epstein was using in terms of moving money around. And then also, is Wexner still alive? I don't know if that guy Wexner is still alive, but bring that guy in. But all right, this was from Twitter. I did a AI search, and let's see why I highlighted this, because I don't remember. Could create new victims. Building on privacy concerns, the memo warns that the bill mandates disclosure of all records unless they fall into narrow exceptions, potentially exposing guilty by association for innocence. But now, here's the thing. You guys have failed to try these individuals. You have failed to go after all these individuals. So to go anyone who has not been tried, or like I said, the law, following the law just seems to be a way of protecting your own. So now if we just find out who was actually involved with the guy, you guys get to go, well, these people were never found guilty of criminal trials because we never did criminal trials. And so therefore putting the information out will have more people who the public doesn't like because they were engaging with this pedophile or potentially were assets and, undermining our democracy. How many times have we heard that term? But in this case, literally working for intelligence agencies against our interest. But let's continue. E.g., Epstein's employees, social acquaintances, or even whistleblowers whose name appear peripherally. It argues this could lead to vigilante justice, reputational harm, ruin, or safety risks without due process, especially for those cleared by prior investigations. But now you got the problem with that, cleared by prior investigations. So does that conclude the co-conspirators who were giving immunity? Or I believe that the JP Morgan lawsuit that they had to pay to the victims also gave immunity to co-conspirators. I'd have to go look that one up. But the point is, we're going to follow everything in accordance to the law. Yeah, well, the law has done the public dirty here because clearly Epstein at first got off with the sweetheart deal. You haven't gone after all the other people. And now that the information's becoming public, you guys are like, well, we have better legal processes, and what we need is due process before the American public realize all the people that we were covering up for. And that's why we can't make this information available, because actually we have perfect systems here. And so if we didn't find somebody guilty, they're not guilty. And so for the American public to just have the information on what happened, even though we didn't deem this person to be legally guilty, well, we can't have that. All right, let's continue. No specific legal citations here, but invokes general due process principles under the Fifth Amendment and the risk of false positives and large-scale file dumps. Recommendations empower the Attorney General to redact any information the FBI or DOJ previously deemed false or not credible, preventing the spread of unsubstantial claims, which once again, if the FBI or DOJ gets to come in and decide what's considered false or not credible, then it's left to them to determine. It's a different version of censorship, and we're just not going to get the information. All right, I had a couple other things. Oh, this is the last thing I wanted to cover is I feel like with Donald Trump, we're witnessing the end of Act 2 in a cocaine movie where he's kind of losing his cool and he's starting to crash out. He's already pulling back some of the tariffs because he doesn't like the way prices are going. He might be getting some movement on the Ukraine war, but that might actually include giving them security guarantees, which isn't great. I guess you're back to square one. Is you got a bunch of people killed. You give up more territories to Russia, and then we're back to basically them joining NATO. But here, let's play 2 videos of Donald Trump being uncharacteristically not cool and crashing out. Let's go.
Mr. President, what did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails that you said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, you know, that is Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw a strike because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself, give me a break. You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan shares.
Sir,
Yeah,
if
Jennifer,
there's
go
nothing
ahead, go ahead.
incriminating in the file, sir, why not
Quiet,
acting as a...
quiet, Piggy.
Quiet,
On
Piggy.
Venezuela, sir, you've had a lot
Quiet,
of
Piggy.
meetings on Venezuela.
Yeah, I mean,
and
you get a little glimpse of the actual Donald Trump where he's like, how dare you? I am king of America. Everyone is supposed to praise me. And despite that being a reasonable question on the biggest topic in the news right now, let's all understand that we should be gracefully blowing more smoke up my ass and just taking this as an opportunity to go after political enemies. And then here's another one, same vein, gets asked to him in the White House. And we'll play this as the last video for today. But here's him once again getting upset that someone would even have the nerve to ask him about the topic.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. You're going to psych. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even...
All right, we'll call it there. That's our episode. Back next week, Wednesday. I got Kyle Anzalone coming on, and we'll get the update on what's going on in Ukraine. Shout out Sheath. Forgot to use promo code RYM, greatest underwear that's ever graced the balls of man. And I also messed up. There are a bunch of really great shout outs to Run Your Mouth supporters, came out for Porch Store shows, who bought the sponsor passes, and a lot of them have very cool businesses. So I gotta go down the archive and I just have to do some homework. I apologize, guys. Met some really cool people and some products I definitely want to let other fans know about. I love the community feel of when people that support me have things that, you know, are great businesses and a good fit for the rest of the fans. And it's a nice community if you guys then go and support them. If you're out there and you're hearing this and you know that I skipped you, You can just shoot me an email, robsnewsroom@gmail.com, but I am going to go through the last probably 6 or 7 shows and see who I missed. All right, that is our episode. Thank you for hanging out. Home at the moment, so we'll definitely be doing Wednesdays and potentially more than that. And just basically finished editing some stuff, so make sure to follow the Robbie the Fire channel. The Run Your Mouth podcast channel will be coming down at the end of this year, and I have a lot of stand-up content I will be putting up, so make sure to check that out. All right, I am sleepy. I want to go eat more donuts and get back on my couch. That's the episode. Later, everybody.